It was a sweltering August afternoon in Philadelphia. A little girl named Iriana DeJesus was outside playing with her sister. She asked if she could walk to the corner store. Her mother said no, it wasn't safe. But minutes later, Iriana was gone. By nightfall, fear gripped the neighborhood. What followed was a national manhunt, a horrific discovery inside a vacant building, and a shocking twist involving a man on the FBI's most wanted list. This is the story of Iriana DeJesus, a 5-year-old whose name should never be forgotten. Iriana DeJesus was a bundle of energy. At just 5 years old, she was the heart of her North Philadelphia neighborhood. Cheerful, playful, full of life. She lived in a close-knit Latino community with her mother, Blanca, and her older sister. On August 22, 2000, Iriana was playing outside in the courtyard of their apartment building on B Street. She asked her mom if she could go get a popsicle from the nearby store. Her mom said no. It was too risky. But moments later, Iriana had vanished. Blanca DeJesus began calling for her daughter, then searching, then screaming. Neighbors rushed to help. Police were called in. Flyers were distributed. The search began almost immediately, but hours turned into days. Officers canvassed the area, knocking on every door. Helicopters flew overhead. Search dogs were brought in. Even landfills were combed through. One abandoned house nearby raised suspicions, but it had already been checked, or so they believed. On August 24th, 2 days after Iriana disappeared, investigators re-entered that boarded-up house. This time, they found something. Behind a section of drywall was Iriana's body. She had been sexually assaulted. She had been suffocated. Her small body had been hidden like garbage. Her face was covered in white lime powder, an attempt to mask the odor and speed up decomposition. It didn't work, and whoever had done this had vanished. As detectives dug deeper, one name emerged: Alexis Flores, a 28-year-old drifter who had been staying in that same abandoned house in the days leading up to Iriana's disappearance. He didn't speak much English, seemed polite, and claimed to be homeless. Neighbors had even shown him kindness, offering food and water. But after Iriana was found, Alexis Flores had disappeared without a trace. The case went cold, and for 5 long years, there were no answers. Then in 2007, a scientific breakthrough reignited the case. Alexis Flores had been arrested in Arizona on a minor charge, and his DNA was entered into the national database. Eventually, that DNA matched samples from the Philadelphia crime scene. It was him. Alexis Flores had raped and murdered Iriana DeJesus and had lived free for years. But by the time they identified him, he was gone again. He had fled, most likely back to Honduras. Today, Alexis Flores is still on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. There is a $100,000 reward for information that leads to his capture. He's likely in his late 40s now, may have noticeable facial scars, but somehow he's still at large, nearly 25 years later. And Iriana's family is still waiting, a grieving mother without closure, a life stolen, a neighborhood forever haunted. Iriana DeJesus should still be here. She should have started school, celebrated her quinceañera, hugged her mother at graduation. But one man, a predator, took all of that away. And until Alexis Flores is brought to justice, Iriana's story remains unfinished. If you've seen him, if you know something, contact the FBI. Don't let silence shield a killer. This little girl mattered, and her story must never be forgotten. A 21-year-old blonde British woman steps into the electric nightlife of Tokyo. She tells her roommate she's meeting a client and will be back in a few hours. She never returns. No witnesses. No signs of struggle. Just vanished. What follows is an international manhunt, a twisted millionaire suspect, and a body entombed beneath the floor of a coastal cave. This is the story of Lucie Blackman, a case that shattered trust, exposed a hidden underworld, and broke the hearts of 2 nations. Lucie Blackman was cheerful, intelligent, and curious about the world. A former flight attendant for British Airways, she moved to Japan in May 2000 with her best friend, Louise. Their plan? To work as hostesses in the bustling Roppongi district of Tokyo, upscale clubs where women entertain male clients with conversation and drinks. It's legal in Japan, though the line between hospitality and exploitation can sometimes blur. For Lucie, it was just a temporary job, a way to see the world and earn money. But just 10 weeks after arriving, she disappeared. The date was July 1st, 2000. Lucie left their Tokyo apartment saying she had a dohan, a paid dinner engagement with a customer. She told Louise she'd be back that evening, but she never returned. The next day, Louise received a strange phone call. A man speaking English with an odd accent claimed that Lucie had joined a cult and didn't want further contact. That was the moment Louise knew something was wrong. Lucie wasn't religious. And then her phone went silent. Her bank cards untouched. She had vanished. Lucie's disappearance quickly made international headlines. Her father, Tim Blackman, flew to Tokyo and launched a wide-reaching media campaign, plastering flyers, speaking to the press, holding public appeals. Even then, UK Prime Minister Tony Blair personally requested cooperation from the Japanese government. Thousands of tips came in, but none led anywhere. Meanwhile, police quietly focused on one man, a wealthy Japanese businessman named Joji Obara. He had a known pattern of targeting foreign hostesses and a long history of escaping justice. Joji Obara, the son of a Korean industrialist, lived a life of quiet wealth and hidden depravity. He owned multiple luxury properties and often invited foreign hostesses on so-called dates. When investigators searched his apartment, they uncovered a chilling scene. Over 400 videotapes showing him assaulting unconscious women, industrial-sized freezers, stacks of prescription sedatives. Many victims had never reported the assaults. Some didn't even remember them happening, but none of the tapes showed Lucie. Then, 7 months after she disappeared, something even darker surfaced. February 2001. Near the seaside town of Miura, roughly an hour from Tokyo, police received a tip from a witness. At a coastal cave, beneath a layer of concrete floor, they made a horrifying discovery: a dismembered body. It was Lucie Blackman. Her head had been removed, her body mutilated. Investigators believed she had been drugged, possibly assaulted, and killed the same day she disappeared. Obara, however, denied involvement. He called her an intruder. Despite the horrifying findings, prosecutors didn't have enough evidence to charge him with murder, only with sexual assault in connection with 9 other women. In 2007, Joji Obara was acquitted of Lucie's murder. The public was outraged. Lucie's family was crushed. Her father spoke out against a justice system that, in his view, shielded predators who had wealth and power. But in 2008, a new development emerged. On appeal, Obara was convicted of mutilating Lucie's body and sentenced to life in prison. Justice of a sort, but not for the crime of murder. Not fully. Lucie Blackman was young, radiant, and filled with potential. She believed in the goodness of the world, and the world betrayed that trust. Her story shocked Japan, shook the UK, and served as a brutal reminder of something all too real. Even in cities filled with lights, darkness can dwell quietly. Her father later founded the Lucie Blackman Trust, an organization that helps families of people who go missing abroad, and her case endures as a warning about vulnerability, hidden danger, and the long, painful silence that follows unanswered questions. Imagine this: human skeletal remains discovered in the tall, dry grass near Utah's Great Salt Lake. No identification, no clues to who she was. Just a chilling nickname, Saltaire Sally. It would take 12 long years before her real name would be known, Nikole Bakoles. But that revelation only deepened the mystery. Tonight, we uncover her story. Born on August 23, 1980 in Washington State, Nikole Christina Bakoles was a creative soul, a poet, a painter, and someone who dreamed of being a loving mother. In 1998, she moved to Utah with her boyfriend, Joel Chaudouin, and soon gave birth to a daughter. But life quickly turned difficult. They lost custody of their child, faced housing instability, and Nikole found herself struggling, caught in cycles of financial hardship and occasional trouble with the law. March 15, 2000, was the last time anyone is known to have seen her alive. She was at a hotel in South Salt Lake where she argued with Joel Chaudouin. He walked out and never saw her again. Her family, not hearing from her, thought she simply needed time. They wouldn't report her missing until 2003. On October 8, 2000, a group of duck hunters stumbled across skeletal remains near the abandoned Saltaire concert venue just off I-80 by the Great Salt Lake. They found a skull, scattered bones, strands of hair, a t-shirt, a single sock, and a distinctive blue choker necklace. The body had been there for months, so long that decomposition erased any clear cause of death. Investigators could not name her, so they gave her one: Saltaire Sally. For nearly 12 years, that was all anyone knew. But then, in 2008, a scientific breakthrough, using stable isotope ratio mass spectrometry, SIRMS, on strands of her hair, scientists discovered she had traveled frequently between Utah and the Pacific Northwest. DNA testing eventually confirmed her identity as Nikole Bakoles, a 19-year-old student and mother from Washington State. Her name was publicly released on August 7, 2012. With her identity confirmed, the case officially became an unsolved homicide. Authorities never disclosed a cause of death, only that foul play was suspected. Police questioned Joel Chaudouin, though he was never formally identified as a suspect or person of interest. In 2012, the Utah Cold Case Coalition received an anonymous confession. Someone claimed responsibility for the murder, but the tip led nowhere. For Nikole's family, the identification brought both comfort and heartbreak. Her brother, James, said it was a relief to know she wasn't still out there suffering, but it came with painful new questions. Her mother, Nancy, remembered her daughter as a gentle flower child who only ever wanted a peaceful family life. To this day, the story of Saltaire Sally continues to capture imaginations. Some even say her spirit still lingers by the lake. Nikole Bakoles was not just a nameless victim. She was a vibrant, artistic young mother whose life ended far too soon. Her case remains unsolved, a haunting reminder that justice can take decades or longer. But her memory lives on, and every small piece of information could bring answers. If you knew Nikole, Joel Chaudouin, or anyone from her life in early 2000, please contact the Unified Police Department. Because even now, someone, somewhere, knows the truth. It was meant to be just another summer day. An 8-year-old girl, barefoot and full of joy, ran across a sunlit field with her siblings, laughing, chasing butterflies. Moments later, she disappeared. Her name was Sarah Payne, and what happened to her would break the heart of an entire nation and ignite a movement that would change the law forever. This is a story of innocence lost and justice fiercely pursued. Sarah Evelyn Isabel Payne was born in October 1991 in Surrey, England. She was the third of 4 children in a warm and tightly bonded family. Lively, curious, and always beaming with a smile, Sarah radiated energy. In July of 2000, the Payne family took a short holiday to her grandparents' home in Kingston Gorse, a quiet village near England's southern coast. It was supposed to be a peaceful summer escape, but instead, it became every parent's nightmare. On the evening of July 1st, 2000, Sarah and her siblings were playing together in a field behind the house. She darted ahead, eager to show her little brother a shortcut. That would be the last time anyone ever saw her alive. Panic set in within minutes. Her family searched frantically. Authorities were alerted, and within hours, a massive search operation began. Hundreds of police officers, search dogs, helicopters, and divers worked day and night. The whole nation watched as Sarah's picture spread across newspapers and television screens. Blonde hair, bright smile, pink clothing. A little girl, gone. Early in the investigation, police received a troubling lead. A known sex offender named Roy Whiting had been spotted nearby. Whiting had a disturbing history. He had kidnapped and sexually assaulted a young girl in 1995, serving only 5 years in prison. But without solid evidence, investigators were forced to release him. The search for Sarah continued for weeks. Vigils were held. Heartfelt public appeals were made. Sarah's parents, standing courageously before the cameras, begged for her safe return. But behind the scenes, detectives were closing in. 17 agonizing days after she disappeared, the unthinkable became reality. On July 17th, Sarah's remains were found buried in a shallow grave in a field near Pulborough, West Sussex, around 15 miles from where she vanished. She had been sexually assaulted and murdered. The entire country was devastated. Police moved quickly and arrested Roy Whiting once more. This time, they had irrefutable evidence. Fibers from Sarah's shoe matched those inside Whiting's van. It was enough to move forward. In 2001, Roy Whiting went on trial for abducting and murdering Sarah Payne. He showed no remorse. Prosecutors described how he had enticed Sarah into his white van, assaulted her, and ended her life within just a few hours. The case was airtight. He was convicted on all counts and sentenced to life in prison, with a recommendation that he never be released. Sarah's parents, her siblings, and the grieving public had their verdict, but true closure required something more. Sarah's death sent shockwaves through the United Kingdom, but her parents, especially her mother, Sarah Payne, chose not to let grief consume them. They began a campaign for what became known as Sarah's Law, a right for parents to be informed if a sex offender lived nearby. After years of advocacy and public support, the UK government implemented the law in 2008. Today, concerned parents can request such information from police. Sarah's life, though tragically short, became a shield for others. Her loss sparked reform. Sarah Payne was only 8 years old. She couldn't have known the danger that lurked just beyond that peaceful field. Her story is heartbreaking, but also deeply powerful, because her family fought back, not only for justice, but for lasting change. And because of their fight, thousands of children are safer today. Sarah's legacy is not only one of grief, it's one of bravery, change, and protection. If Sarah's story touched your heart, consider keeping her memory alive. Share this video, support organizations that work to keep children safe, and always stay alert, stay safe, stay compassionate, stay human. A young man finishes work on a freezing January evening and then vanishes without a trace. No witnesses, no verified crime scene, only silence. But behind that silence is a tangled web of cryptic messages, suspicious figures, and one final clue that sends a chill through the spine. This is the story of Zebb Quinn, a case so strange and twisted, it feels like fiction. But disturbingly, it's not. Zebb Wayne Quinn was just 18, a kind, soft-spoken, slightly introverted teen from Asheville, North Carolina. He worked at Walmart, had dreams of joining the military, no known enemies, no criminal background. Just an ordinary kid trying to build a future. On January 2nd, 2000, after clocking out at 9 p.m., Zebb mentioned to coworkers that he was heading out to check on a car he was thinking about buying. He was last seen driving away in his light blue Mazda Protege. Beside him in the passenger seat, a coworker named Robert Jason Owens. They stopped at a gas station for drinks. Surveillance footage shows them walking in together, but then something strange occurs. Zebb receives a page. He walks over to the payphone to return the call. And moments later, he looks visibly shaken. According to Owens, Zebb said there was an emergency and drove off alone. That was the last time anyone ever saw him. But this is where things turn truly eerie. The page Zebb received, it came from his aunt's phone, but she insisted she hadn't paged him. In fact, she wasn't even home. Her house had been broken into. 2 days later, something even more bizarre happens. Someone calls Walmart pretending to be Zebb, calling in sick. But it wasn't him. One coworker recognized the voice. It sounded like Robert Owens. Then, a week after Zebb vanished, his car was discovered abandoned in the lot of a local restaurant. Inside, a live puppy, a jacket that wasn't his, several bottles, and a lipstick mark on the window. And the most disturbing detail, the car's headlights had been turned inward, and a drawing of lips and 2 exclamation points was smeared onto the back windshield in lipstick. It felt like a message, one no one could decipher. Robert Jason Owens, the last person to see Zebb alive. Soon after the disappearance, Owens claimed he had been in a car accident that night. He showed up at work limping with injuries to his head. His truck was damaged, but authorities could never confirm that the crash had occurred. As time passed, Owens faded from the spotlight. Until 2015, 15 years later, Owens is arrested for murder, but not for Zebb. This time, it was far more gruesome. He was charged with killing an entire family, Christy and JT Codd, along with their unborn child. He dismembered their bodies and tried to destroy them by fire. Suddenly, Owens was no longer just a peculiar witness. He was a killer. The Zebb Quinn investigation was reopened, and things quickly started to unravel. In 2017, Owens was officially indicted for Zebb's murder. The details were sealed. No body, no public disclosures of evidence. But the state believed they had enough to proceed. Owens denied guilt. Then, in 2022, a shocking update. Owens accepted a plea deal. He confessed to playing a role in Zebb's death, but said he didn't act alone. He claimed a third person was involved. that Zebb had been lured, murdered, and his body disposed of. But Owens never named the other person, and he never gave the full account of what happened. He received a sentence of just 16 years minimum, much less than many expected. Even now, Zebb Quinn's body has never been recovered. More than 20 years have passed. A mother still waits for her son to come home. His bedroom is still untouched. His pictures still hang, frozen in time. And even with a confession, the mystery lingers. What truly happened to Zebb Quinn? Was it jealousy? A twisted love triangle? A premeditated trap? Or something even darker? Until his body is found. Until every secret is uncovered. Zebb's case remains one of the most haunting, unresolved mysteries in North Carolina history.